Ladies and gentlemen, every election has a defining moment. Not the day Kenyans cast their votes, not the day the results are announced, but the moment when one political decision changes the calculations of every major player. In 2002, it was about opposition unity. In 2013, it was about coalition politics. And in 2022, in 2022, it was the hustler narrative. Now, as Kenya steadily marches towards 2027, another question is quietly gathering momentum. Will Edwin Sifuna run for presidency? Or is the country witnessing the opening move of a much larger political chess match? Today, we go beyond the headlines because on Red Pen TV, we don't just report politics, we read between the lines. Now, politics is a fascinating game. Those who shout the loudest rarely control the outcome. Those who calculate the best usually do. There is an old saying that politics is not about who is right. It is about who can build the numbers. Edwin Sifuna has become one of the Kenya's most recognizable political voices. He's very sharp, he's very articulate, he's fearless in debate, he's loved by many, criticized by others. Yet whether one agrees with him or not, one fact is difficult to ignore. He has become impossible to ignore in Kenya's political conversation. And whether a politician reaches that stage, speculations naturally follow. Could he be the something much bigger? The big question is something that may surprise you is that I believe many Kenyans are asking the wrong question. The real question is not, will Edwin Sifuna run? But the real question is, who stands to gain and who stands to lose if he does? Because every presidential candidate charges the political equation. Sometimes by contesting, sometimes by stepping aside. And history has repeatedly shown us that in politics, one decision can redraw the entire electoral map. So let us analyze this not through emotion, not through party loyalty, but through political strategy. To understand why this question matters, you have to understand Edwin Sifuna himself. He is not your typical politician. He is the former Secretary General of ODM, the party of Raila Amolo Odinga. He is the Senator of Nairobi, which is the Kenya's biggest city and the biggest voting bloc. And more importantly, he is one of the few politicians who can speak to both the Gen Z on TikTok and the elders in Western Kenya. He is sharp in debate, fearless in criticism, and increasingly, he is becoming a national brand. In politics, there are two types of leaders: those who inherit crowds and those who build grounds. And Sifuna is building his. And when you reach that level, people start asking one question: what is next? But let us be honest. being popular is not enough to run for president. You need numbers, you need money, you need the machine. So does Edwin Sifuna have this? That is where chessboard gets interesting. Now let us analyze this strategically, not with emotion. There are several scenarios if Edwin Sifuna runs. First, ODM gets complicated. Can one party have Raila legacy and Sifuna's ambition at the same time? Second, other opposition leaders, they have been waiting for years. A young, articulate candidate from Western and Nairobi please the best. And third, the incumbent. A divided opposition is a happy government. Sifuna running might actually help them. Now, scenario 2, if Sifuna doesn't run, then the question becomes, what did he negotiate? In Kenyan politics, sometimes you don't run to win. You run to bargain. Deputy president, prime cabinet secretary, or even key ministries. Or the kingmaker is often more powerful than the king. So you see, the decision is not just about Sifuna. It is about every other player in 2027. And that is why this one decision could redraw the entire electoral map. Now, to understand 2027, we must look at the history. In 2002, Raila stepped down for Kibaki. That decision gave us knack and 10 years of power. In 2007, Kalonzo ran and split the opposition. That decision gave Kibaki a second term. In 2013, Mudavadi stepped aside last minute. So that decision handed Uhuru the presidency. Do you see the pattern? The people who don't run often decide who runs. So the question is not just about Sifuna ambition. It is about history repeating itself. Will Sifuna be the Raila of 2002, the one who steps aside to unite? Or will he be the kingmaker, that is Kalonzo in 2007, the one who runs and changes the match? That is why State House is watching Sifuna very closely. Now, let us talk about the numbers, because numbers in politics don't lie. Nairobi alone has about 2.4 million voters. Western has about 2.1 million voters. And Gen Z will be 40% of voters in 2027. Sifuna has a direct access to all these three. But a presidential campaign needs about 500 to 1 billion shillings. It needs agents in 290 constituencies. It needs 24/7 media coverage. Does Sifuna have the money? Does he have the structure? Probably not yet. Which brings us to one conclusion, that he may not be running to win 2027, but he may be running to position himself in 2032. or to become the most powerful negotiator in 2027. And that is smart in politics. So, will Edwin Sifuna run for president in 2027? Maybe, maybe not. But here is what I know. Even the speculations alone has already changed politics. Because now, everyone has to calculate. Even the State House has to calculate. And in politics, he who forces others to calculate is already winning. So Sifuna may not want to the presidency. He may want something bigger. He may want something larger. He may want influence. He may want leverage, the power to decide who faces who in 2027. Remember this. 2002, it was about unity. 2013, it was about coalitions. 2022 was about narratives. 2027 might be about one man's decision. This is Red Pen TV. We don't just report politics. We break